brace yourself. It's that time again. Hey, welcome to Unfiltered. Another week's gone by, and man, I gotta tell you, first couple days of this week, I was feeling very bad with the rain and the gray skies. Finally, the sun came out. I was able to recharge. I gotta tell you, last Saturday, fairly good day, I went out yard sailing. I mean, I don't do it all the time, but once in a while, I'll drive by a place and I'll go, geez, you know that, I'll stop in and see what they got. And I know I shouldn't, with my limited financial situation that I've got, I shouldn't be spending a lot of money. But I got to show this to you. Because I picked this up at the yard sale. Woohoo! What a deal. $2. I couldn't pass it up. Any of you folks that have seen my stand-up comedy, that was one of my old bits. All right, I just couldn't pass it up. But yard sailing season is around, so if you need some deals, go out and buy somebody else's junk. Just a couple news stories tonight. I guess topping the charts today is Paris is out of jail. That's right. She went in Sunday. She's out 3 days. Apparently, she had an affliction or something that she couldn't stay in jail. But now, I was kind of upset at that at first. But then, when I heard what she had to do, she now has to spend, I believe it's 45 days with an ankle bracelet. She lives at home. She eats her own food. Oh, 40 days. Thank you, Andrea. 40 days and 40 nights. Kind of a, yeah. But she stays at home. She eats her own food. She has to pay the state to wear this ankle bracelet. And apparently she covers the costs.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a good thing. Because now the state's not supporting her. But apparently I hear she's having a big party tonight. She can't leave, but she can drink at home, I guess. All right. Other news. Apparently, you probably won't see this in the headlines, but there is still genocide going on in Darfur. Darfur, whatever. It's over in the Sudan. And, you know, I just realized the first time I'd heard about this was during the debates on Sunday night when I believe it was Bill Richardson, the guy from New Mexico, said that if China doesn't crack down, because apparently China gets a lot of its oil from the Sudan, and if China doesn't crack down, he thinks we should boycott the Olympics. I don't know. Stupid idea, hurts nobody but the athletes. You know? I don't know. We did that one year. We boycotted an Olympics. And for some of our athletes, it was their only chance for a medal, and the United States pulled out because of some political crap.
It was either 76 or 80.
Yeah, 76 or 80, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly which one it was. But yeah, I mean, it accomplished nothing. And a lot of our national athletes lost a great opportunity. I mean, if there's one thing we can do, we can go onto the Olympic stage and prove that we're better than everybody. We can clean up in most of the stuff, you know? I don't know. A couple of strange news briefs I found today, and I couldn't pass them up. This one says, from the files of Police Squad, a man was taken on a wild ride when his wheelchair became lodged in the grill of a semi-tractor trailer and was accidentally pushed down a highway for 4 miles at about 50 miles an hour. Did you read that? That's something? It was a 21-year-old guy was in the wheelchair, and he was unharmed because he'd been secured to his wheelchair by a seat belt. There's not a law either. But luckily, he was wearing his seat belt. No helmet, I don't think. He probably could have got arrested just on that charge. But I don't think you have to wear a helmet riding a wheelchair.
You got 4 wheels.
Unless you've already suffered a brain injury. And then you have to wear a helmet during everything. There's some kids around town that wear helmets. I've seen them. Said the man spilled his soda pop, but he wasn't upset.
You have to pay for the insurance.
And I guess at about 4 p.m., somebody called the police dispatchers and said, "You're not going to believe this, but there's a semi-truck pushing a guy in a wheelchair on Red Arrow Highway." And they stopped the truck with the wheelchair still attached, and apparently the investigation revealed the man in the wheelchair had pulled in front of the truck at a gas station, and it somehow had gotten lodged in the grill by the handles. So, if you're a truck driver, you may want to, do the walk around before you just take off.
A little bit of a safety check before you leave the area.
I mean, when I was driving for Prime, that became a big issue because in the yard at the terminal, there had been an incident involving a young child of one of the drivers had been playing around the trucks, and somebody had jumped into a truck and just took off, and the kid was back playing between the two back tandem wheels. And so yeah, it's real. Driving a truck isn't just jump in and go. You got to pay attention. This one I found right next to it. If you're a baseball loving person, you could see this. It's from Atlanta. It says a woman is crying foul ball about the way her ex-husband is distributing their behind home plate tickets to Atlanta Braves games. It says H. Elizabeth King, a psychologist, accuses her ex, Charles Center, a lawyer, of breaking their 2002 divorce agreement on how to divide the tickets. At the court hearing Tuesday, King claimed that Center, who is in charge of dispensing the tickets to the partners, goes out of his way to give her games that conflict with her schedule, and implied he gave her day games because she had skin cancer. Ultimate revenge on a husband that's got season tickets. He testified that he distributed the tickets according to a mathematical formula adjusted when people asked or if there were conflicting schedules. And the Superior Court judge urges him to settle it out of court. So when Center left the courtroom, he whooped in the hall outside, "I'm not going to jail, I'm not going to jail." And I bet she gets even worse tickets next season. All right, that's the news. I was fairly lax about the news this week. Although, the Sentinel tonight, there's a story about, I guess the Keene Board of Education and the teachers have somewhat agreed to a contract, so watch for the district meeting and all the other crap that they have to go through in order to get it approved. So keep your ears and eyes open. All right, I guess there's no crew except Greg showed up and Bruce and Andrea, as always. Jane and Mike are both sick. And it's funny because yesterday was Jane's birthday. And I completely forgot about it. I mean, I might as well be her husband. No, I wanted to wish her a happy birthday and everything, but her and Mike aren't feeling well. So, maybe it's just age creeping up on her. I don't know. But We miss her here. And we don't even have aliens running cameras because they all got deported. We had a big sweep in here last week at the end of the show. INS came in, out the aliens went. They'll be back though. They've got a fast spaceship. We do have, however, NASCAR. Andrea is not going to get out of her NASCAR. And Andrea, you've got your normal amount of time. I won't restrict you this week like I've
Would
been
I
joking.
ever get out of NASCAR? Not even. And before I do anything, I do have to say all of us offer our condolences to the France family. Bill France Jr., who was the head of NASCAR and the International Speedway Corporation, passed away this past week, and he was actually buried today. But they said he passed away very, very calmly and quietly at home. So he is going to be missed. Now, the whole thing is going to be carried on by his son, Brian France. So NASCAR is not going away. It's still as strong as ever because this man had some vision. So that being said, that's as much of, we're going to go on the negative side of things. Now, on the positive side of things, I'm just about the most tickled pink person there could be in the whole city of Keene, in the whole United States.
Yes, you are.
I won it all last week. My guy, Martin Truex Jr., actually dominated the race, leading more than 200 laps, and he won at Dover. And it was his first Cup win ever.
That's great.
So that was really, really great. It was a point race, so it was his first Cup point race. He had won one to get into the well, what the heck was it called?
The All-Star.
The All-Star race. But he had won one of those races to get into that. But this here is totally different.
Great.
Besides that, I won money. And I get to gloat. But
That's why I was going to cut down your time this week because
I know.
I
I
knew
mean,
you'd
what's
gloat.
that about? But Denny was one of the top 5, so that wasn't a bad thing.
he did all right.
He did pretty good. The standings now, as they are, the first 5 in the standings are Jeff Gordon, and then again Jimmy Johnson. God help me, Matt Kenseth. We can't get rid of those guys.
No.
Denny Hamlin is running 4th, and Jeff Burton is still in. They're still in the top 5. Now, I really feel bad for Junior. He had tire issues and then some other little hoojamajigger issue with his car. I can't remember what it was. A what? He lost a cylinder, whatever that is. Anyways, he lost it, and he ended up 2 laps down, so he dropped 2 places in the standings. Now, because of Martin Truex Jr.'s win, he actually came up 3 places. He's now in 13th. Oh, not this, yeah. It was good.
Moving along.
Yes, moving right along. Let me see. Oh, now the big thing was, we all got such a hoot out of this, is Tony Stewart and Kurt Busch. They kind of got into a little disagreement on the track. They were kind of arguing with one another.
That was.
Yeah, and it kind of escalated, and they got spun out. Kurt Busch really got spun out, tore up his car. He showed his displeasure in the pit area, and he almost run over one of Tony's guys. And NASCAR parked him for the rest of the race. So it's like, oh, well, sucks to be you.
And I don't think we never did see an interview with Tony Stewart about that episode, did we?
Kurt Busch was whining about it afterwards,
Right.
but oh well, he usually does. And Tony, he wouldn't even get out of the car. He just said, fix it so I can get back out on the track. And they never did interview him. So what his take on the whole business was, I don't know. But I think Kurt just wanted him to give him extra space, and Tony figured, racing's racing. And it's like Robin's racing. Move out of the way.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was just kind of the long and the short of it. Now, we also had kind of a cool thing last night, and if any of y'all out there have ever been to dirt track racing, you'll know what I'm talking about. It is awesome. My dad used to race dirt track racing. many, many years ago, and he was good at it, and I had forgotten how much I missed it until we saw Prelude to the Dream last night. It was a race that took place out in Eldora, Ohio. It's Eldora Speedway. It was out in Ohio. Tony Stewart owns track. And he had invited a bunch of NASCAR Cup drivers. He invited a couple of drag racers. All sorts of guys were there. And they were racing, and the whole proceeds were to go to benefit the Victory Junction gang.
Oh, that's great.
Now, Carl Edwards won that one. But at least he beat Kurt Busch and, or not Kurt, but Kyle Busch and Jeff Gordon.
Now, what type of cars were they racing? Sprint cars?
I don't know what the kind of cars are. They're funny looking cars. Oh, dirt
Oh, the
modified
little
is what
modifieds
Bruce
with
says.
the wing on the top?
I don't know what they got on top. They're not little ones. I mean, they're kind of big and they're boxy looking.
Oh, okay.
But I don't understand the different categories that they have in there. It was just a lot of fun to watch, and it's like, whoa, this is racing. But like I said, Carl Edwards ended up winning, but then they turned out, I guess they ended up presenting a check to the Petties for the Victory Junction for about, I think it was $200,000. So they were able to raise quite a bit of money.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, because what I found out is it costs about $2,500 for 1 week for one kid to go to camp there. And they, they'll have the kids, they get to go for a week, but it's $2,500 for each kid.
Wow.
So that's a lot to run it.
Yeah, it is.
Everything is free to the kids. All of their medical care is free to them. So, any of you NASCAR lovers, anybody that just believes in something like this, always think about it. It's something that you give from your heart. And these race drivers, they said, actually give more to different charities than any other sports fan there is out there.
Yep.
So, hey, yay for the race drivers.
Exactly.
So.
And yeah, I mean, anybody can donate to Victory Junction.
Oh, yeah, you
And-
can donate anytime at all.
Yep. And the same with Cheshire TV.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some organizations just need the donations.
You got it. And
And-
in that light, I'm going to turn this one back to you because my NASCAR's done, but you can go on with the rest of the donations, especially for Cheshire TV.
Thank you, Andrea.
Sure.
Did a great job again.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great worthy causes out there. I mean, give to everybody. Give a little bit to every worthy cause. That's what America and freedom is. It's the freedom to be able to give of yourselves. All right. We're going to go into the 70s because I've got a few from the 70s. This one I pulled because it's another one that it could have been printed in yesterday's paper. This was from Monday, June 6th, 1977. Threat to climate may force limits on coal and oil, a President Carter aide said. 30 years ago. This kind of sounds like global warming to me. And people talking about how global warming is recently discovered. Apparently they knew about it in the 70s and did nothing. I didn't read the whole article, but one of the little side boxes says high level of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere could make worldwide climate warmer than it has been in 100,000 years. Guess they were right. So yeah, I mean, even back then, 30 years, and it's government and it's oil companies, and they will not let us out of this addiction on oil. Nothing, solar power or anything will help. This one I had to laugh at. It's from Burlington, Vermont, this week in 1977. Rock concert draws concern. I saw that and I went, ooh, what band came that caused such a stir? And it says the city officials were gearing up for a rock concert scheduled at Memorial Auditorium, and about 2,500 concert fans were expected to pack the auditorium to hear Supertramp. Supertramp. They're like one of the mellowest, gayest rock groups I've ever heard in my life. And Burlington, Vermont officials were all up in arms. But apparently the next day they ran an article about all these little teenagers that couldn't get in because they'd oversold the concert or something. The promoters had oversold the concert. All these teenagers hanging out in the parking lot and drinking and yelling and causing a big scene. So, but I was surprised. Supertramp, of all bands. Another one from Burlington, Vermont. Officials debate Indian racism. Now this is stuff I've mentioned the fact that we screwed the hell out of the Indians over this land, you know? And our whole existence as a country was born on, you know, the theft of their land, and Christ, half the families were probably a result of, you know, the white men raping the Indian squaws, you know, while they took their land. But this says, disagreeing with Governor Richard Snelling, the chairman of Vermont Commission in Indian Affairs, says it would not be a form of racism to grant special privileges to Indians. Louis Doyle said Sunday he has seen no documented evidence that Abenaki Indians in Vermont have been discriminated against, but he said they are entitled to special treatment because they never gave their consent to be governed by the white people. They never agreed to a government. There's not one Indian signature on the Constitution of the United States. Not one. But back then, Governor Snelling said it would be reverse racism to grant the Indians special privileges. I don't know. Just stupid crap. Anyway. This one was just unbelievable. This week in 1977, good market for weaponry. It says Iran and Saudi Arabia will spend an estimated $12.5 billion on military readiness in 1976 to 1980, creating a strong market for U.S. and other arms producers. That's right. Why do they have all the weapons they have? Because we sold them to them. And now they hate us. And they're going to use our own weapons to kill us with. Should have thought about that 30 years ago. All right. Stupid. Hey, Mike. I'm sorry, Bruce. I'm going to go to 1 if you don't mind. I want to do Mike Blastos into camera 1 because I haven't used camera 1 yet. So. This week in 1977, Mike Blastos says, did you know that the Fish and Game Department has changed the rules again? That is, beginning June 12th, fishermen may not legally take and possess brook, brown, lake, or rainbow trout measuring less than 6 inches in length anywhere in the state. Isn't this incredible? For some years now, there have been no length restrictions because biologists in many states have determined that some trout, depending on feed conditions, never grow more than 4 to 5 inches. But my main point is that one almost has to be a lawyer to really enjoy fishing today in New Hampshire. Oh, no, I'm sorry. One almost has to be a lawyer to really enjoy fishing today, and New Hampshire doesn't seem to have enough money to provide law books to those who purchase hunting and fishing licenses. Just plenty of money to keep those wardens and their binoculars out there to pounce on unsuspecting vacationists. I hope this column saves you from an unpleasant experience. Yes, fishing in New Hampshire is real fun. Like cleaning the wax out of your ears with a loaded Luger. Well put. And every year there's new fishing laws, new hunting laws, new fishing laws. And, I mean, the friggin' manual's huge. I don't even fish anymore. It's not worth it. You pay a crap load of money for the license, and then you still got to follow all the rules. All right. So that's the 70s. And we're into my CD review. this week, the Millennium Collection, Kiss. And I got to tell you, this was one of my favorite rock groups ever. Not just for the simple fact that they made great music, but I want to say they came out in the early 70s. They came out with the full makeup. And I want to say they were one of the first rock bands that actually did like an entire theatrical show. I mean, Alice Cooper had done it for years. But Kiss came out and they made it worth the $12.50 that you used to have to pay to get into their concerts, you know? And it was the rock and roll music. It was like sideshow acts. Gene Simmons would breathe fire, or he'd spit a mouthful of blood all over everybody, you know? And each member of the group had their own character, their own little personality. And they did great. This album has all their greatest. It's a compilation album put out by 20th Century Masters. And it's got Strutter, which was always one of my favorite songs. Hard Luck Woman, which next to Black Diamond, which isn't on this, Hard Luck Woman was always my favorite Kiss song. And I don't know why. But man, for those of you, and I'm sure everybody knows Kiss, because they did 11 years on tour. They took, I believe, a year off. And during the 11 years, they had albums, they had dolls, they had a comic book, which was rumored to have been printed with some of their own blood. And then nobody knew who they were or had ever seen them without their makeup on. During their little break, or at some point, information slipped out that Gene Simmons, the bass player, was actually an English professor. He was, yeah, and he taught high school English or college English or something. During the year off, they kind of, I guess, relaxed and regrouped. They had lost a member of the band early. Ace Frehley, the original guitarist, had to quit the group because the makeup was messing up his skin and doing horrible things. And then, after 11 years, they took their break. They came back out. They reformed and came back out without the makeup on. And were a huge hit again. And then, after that, they went back into the makeup, did another couple tours in the makeup again. Just phenomenal band. So, it's the best of Kiss, the Millennium Collection. Check it out. It's fantastic, hardcore, 70s rock and roll. All right. Out and about. It's not much on this either. It does bring me to a point, though, out and about. This is the time of year when, growing up in Keene, I always looked forward to one event. And that was an event that included detours. It wasn't the building of a new roundabout, though. It was the street fair. And I don't know if anybody remembers the street fair or not, but it was when all the downtown merchants would have sidewalk sales. They'd close off Main Street, and it was the equivalent of the Pumpkin Fest with no pumpkins. But people, the merchants, showing off their wares and selling their stuff on the sidewalk, and everybody just, the entire community gathering and having a wonderful Saturday. But apparently, the detours, it wasn't worth closing off Main Street for or something to get the businesses more business. But yeah, and craft shows, they had a craft show. They usually had half a dozen carnival rides set up, different little events, local talent doing different stuff around the town. I don't know, a great community event and gone because somebody figured it wasn't worth it. But, oh well. Anyway, if somebody knows what happened to the street fair and why they don't do it, email me and let me know. This weekend, though, actually, let me start with birthdays. Today's birthdays, famous people. Tom Jones is 67 today. Prince is 49. Dave Navarro, the guitarist, is 40. Boy, he's an old man now, huh? Yeah. Here's one that killed me. Eddie Haskell is 64 years old today. Does anybody remember Eddie Haskell? Wally's friend. He was always screwing over the Beaver, so I don't think he was Beaver's friend, but he was Wally's friend. He was a cop in real life? Really? His name was Ken Osmond, the actor that played him. But he turned 64 today. Hey, if you'd like your birthday announced on my show, email me. Tell me when your birthday is, and I'll announce your name on the air. But this weekend at Gino's is Fat Tuesday. Good band. I may even go check them out. The Hot Spot up in Rockingham on Route 5, they don't have any entertainment this weekend because the annual Roots on the River Festival started today, goes through Sunday. It's a huge pot fest. It's pretty much what it is. Fred Eaglesmith, and his name is a pretty staple in this area. I've heard a lot of people know of Fred Eaglesmith. Apparently he was a Canadian-born. He's kind of bluesy, country, rock, kind of a progressive, kind of a hippie band, I guess. I don't know. I've never been to one, but I remember last year when I drove up Route 5 during the festival, just as I crested the hill right there by the Everyday Inn, this festival happens down back. And as I crested the hill, I had my car windows down, and I was like, wow. And it was thick. Yeah, it was thick. It was like, there's a hippie fest going on down there is what it is. But it's called Roots on the River. And you can check around. Somebody's got information about it, about tickets and everything to go up. And I know there's a number of acts every day. And Fred Eaglesmith, and admission prices vary to the different shows. And I'm not sure if there's like a general admission, you just go and hang around or not. But I may get up there this weekend just to see what it is. Because it does seem like a really cool, very cool thing to do. Anyway, that was all the entertainment I found. At the drive-ins, Northfield Drive-In is showing Shrek 3 and Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Milford is showing Surf's Up on Screen 1. Surf's Up and Shrek. Now, Surf's Up is the penguin one with the surfing penguins. I don't know if it's like a sequel to Happy Feet or not, but it looks like a hilarious movie. I may have to get in touch with my young film expert and send her out to see that one. So that's showing Milford Drive-In on Screen 1, Surf's Up and Shrek, and on Screen 2 in Milford this weekend, Ocean's 13 and 28 Weeks Later, which I'm not sure what 28 Weeks Later is, but I know Ocean's 13 is the third installment of a ripped-off show from the 60s, just one bad idea after another. But I guess it's got all the stars from Ocean's 11, Ocean's 12, and it's got, I want to say, does it have Pacino in it? Al Pacino, or there's a couple of new ones that they've added into the mix. Anyway, that's pretty much our out and about, except I want to talk about, last week I talked about Surrey. I'm running out of little places around Keene, you know. Apparently nobody goes to Robin Hood anymore, so it's worthless to talk about Robin Hood. The place is in shambles. But there is Otterbrook and Surrey are the two recreational areas. I spend quite a bit of time at Surrey in the sun.
Yeah, those are great.
And while I was up there this week working on the show, the little maintenance truck went by. And I wanted to talk about those guys. Because if you may not know this, or if you don't know this, Otterbrook and Surrey Mountain Dam recreation areas cost city and county taxpayers nothing. None of that money comes out of our taxes. We've got 2 beautiful recreation areas, and we don't pay nothing on them. It's all federal money. It's run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. These are, from what I found out, not active military. They're government service workers. But the Corps of Engineers, I guess, designed and built both of those dams years ago to protect Keene from floods. They also created these 2 beautiful recreation areas, and they maintain them every year, and that can't be an easy job. Because every year, both of those recreation areas are completely underwater. The bathrooms are underwater. All the pavilions are underwater. The beach is underwater. All the playgrounds, everything is underwater. And these guys come back and, you know, my question is, why can't the Corps of Engineers work on civil projects? You know, instead of hiring private companies to do this, like the roundabout, why not bring in the government? Let the government plan it, let the government do it, and then all it costs is manpower or labor costs and material costs. They don't have to worry about that profit margin that the construction companies are trying to get when they're doing all these bidding wars. So I don't know. It just, I thought about them and what a great job they do. So anyway, but it brings me to another point that I had buried back here. A couple of little points. I hear a lot about privatization. You know, everybody wanting everything to be privatized. Privatized schools, privatized ambulance. I mean, Keene's tossing that idea around now, privatizing the ambulance service. What if you privatize the fire department? You know, and you have private fire departments, and when your house is on fire, the fire department rolls its truck up in front of your house and says, it's a pretty good fire. It's going to cost you $1,000. And you say, well, I don't have $1,000. And they say, fine, we'll make sure that it doesn't catch anybody else's house on fire. But we won't put yours out. See, firemen don't join the fire department to become millionaires. Firemen join, and I know this because I was a fireman. I was a volunteer fireman for 2 years. You join to do good. You know, to help save somebody's house. To help pull a cat out of a building, a burning building. You know, to save a life. You know, burning babies, yeah. I mean, if you can come out with a burning baby, you're like a hero. But these guys don't want to be heroes. They just want to do their job, and they want enough money to survive, is pretty much what it is. I mean, you won't see a fireman living in the mansion on the hill, you know, and most of them don't want that because they spend most of their time at the station, you know. I don't know, but it's a tough job, and it takes a lot of training. There's a lot of money invested in training fire departments. And if you privatize everything, it's just, you know, I don't think it'll work. Privatization's been around for a while, too. Wars have been privatized for years. When I was in the service, I used to subscribe to Soldier of Fortune magazine. And that was it. They had a classified ad section in the back of the magazine where you would see ads like, want to overthrow a government? Call me and my team. We'll come in and do your dirty work for you for $100,000 apiece. You know, mercenaries, yeah. Going out fighting wars for, you know, and it doesn't matter. They could be fighting for us one day in Iraq the next day, depending on whose paycheck was bigger. You know, it's all about the money. You fight for whoever's going to pay you the most. It's the way it should be, because if you're going to die, you might as well get rich dying. I don't know. Another thing I wanted, this came in with schools. I found this a couple weeks ago. MSNBC.com ran a story called "What Will the World Look Like in 2017?" And they talk about a tiny town called Branson, Colorado. And it's a town that's faced with declining enrollment at its public schools. And they started offering online public school education. Yeah. And it says Branson's population is just 100, but through the internet, 850 kids go to school there. And it's all done over the internet. One of them is Riley South, an 8th grader who attends class from his family's ranch 160 miles away. He takes his classes. So, I mean, you figure kids in Stoddard, kids in Gilsum, kids in, you know, Langdon, some of these really small, out-of-the-way towns and communities, it saves them coming all the way into town. I mean, you figure if you bus a kid from Nelson to Keene, it's taking 2 hours out of his day riding on the bus. If he just popped onto the computer, did his lessons, this kid says he gets up on his own and is on the computer between 6:30 and 7 every day. He says the best part is I can get my schoolwork done earlier and I can get my horse exercised. Which, yeah, I mean, he doesn't waste time, because if he had to travel 165 miles to school and then back. Yeah, a lot of colleges have online educations. And it goes to prove that it doesn't take walls don't make a school. It's the teachers. And the teachers out in Colorado, the online teachers report that they know their online students better than they would if they actually had classes with them. Because it's a constant connection via emails and discussion boards and things like that. So, I don't know. It seems like such an easy thing, and that's the internet. That is one of the good things the internet can do.
Usually when they do something like that, or colleges even, they'll get a teacher that's local, and she'll come in and act as their proctor for exams, so that there's no chance that they can cheat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But the rest of it is all done online.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it's that easy. Unfortunately, we have bad people in this world. And I heard a thing the other night that was kind of scary. Google Earth, which is a great map program. And you can pinpoint addresses and streets and zoom right down from a satellite and see people's houses. And they have this new thing called Street View, which you can actually go down and do a 3D look at any building. I mean, it makes crime so easy. And it's so easy for terrorists to boop Google Earth and pick out a building and go, this is the one. We'll get all the, you know, how many windows does it have? How many doors does it have? Every bit of information. I don't know. There has to be some kind of control of the information, because you can't just, I don't know. It's weird. All right. I don't have much time, so I'm gonna get into this because I blew this one off last week. I was gonna talk about the war, the fact we're still losing guys in Iraq, and I don't, this war wasn't planned as well as the first Gulf War that Daddy handled. And I'm sorry, Junior, but you're still not as good at war as your father is. He did it right. And let me tell you, back in 81, 91, when Saddam invaded Kuwait and George Bush said, you're not going to do this, first thing he did was send an airstrike. No, he said no less than 30 days. No troops on the ground, nothing but American planes flying over Iraq and dropping bombs on military positions. Day after day, hour after hour, until these people came out of the trenches and just couldn't take anymore. They surrendered. And I'm telling you, the best TV. CNN was like the most watched network during that war because due to time differences in the world, the nighttime and early morning bombing raids that we were doing over Iraq just happened to fall dinner time here in America. And I'd get off of work and I'd like get some beer and like popcorn and I'd sit in front of the TV and watch the green screen with the explosions and the tracer rounds for hours and like cheering. This is the way. I mean, this is what America does best. You don't show your face, just rain bombs and rain bombs. It's because we like making bombs. And I mean, the only bad thing that the only bad thing that old man Bush didn't do is he should have walked those bombs all the way into Baghdad back then and put an end to it altogether. But no, man, it was great. Every night you come home and it's like you said, okay, it's time. Everybody go to the bathroom if you have to because the show's getting ready to start. And it was just hours and hours of bombs falling out of the sky. And, that's war. We don't commit troops. We've got the best trained pilots in the world. I mean, Israel may be able to give us a run as far as pilots go because they've got a great Air Force too. So, which is I'm pretty sure why we haven't done anything to piss the Israelis off. Because they could give us a run for our money. And now Russia's all upset with us. And on top of dealing with the whole Iranian nuclear program and Darfur, which we're like ignoring because we don't want to get involved. I mean, this friggin' place is the size of Rhode Island. We could wipe out, if they're going to commit genocide, we might as well wipe out their entire country anyway and not worry about civilian casualties. Because if their government's going to kill them, we might as well kill them and the government. Easy for everything. Yeah, I'm going to research Darfur a little bit more this week and have some stuff to say about that next week. But I don't know. We're not the global police, and we shouldn't be. All right. The debates. I watched just a very tiny bit. For one thing, it looked to me like it was some kind of a high school game show or something. Everybody, put your left hand up, your right hand up, do the hokey pokey and spin around. And none of them made any sense. But the thing that got me is, I believe the Democratic debate, they asked this question. Raise your hand if you think that English should be the official language of the United States. One person raised his hand. And I heard radio, I don't know who I was listening to, Rush Limbaugh, Howie Carr, or one of them jerk-offs on the radio. They were saying that election ballots are printed in various languages. How retarded is that? If you're going to vote for an American president, you damn sure better vote in English. We are an English-speaking country. We killed the Indians because we could not understand them. We drove them away. Said, get out of here. We don't like you. You don't speak our language. Now we're just going to let anybody talk however they want. And it's up to us to learn other languages. Bull. Keep the immigrants out. Speak English. Vote English. Or don't vote. There are more illegal immigrants that find a way to vote than there are Americans that vote. Sickens me. Someday I'll vote. It's funny because Jen today told me I should start wearing political buttons and endorsing a candidate. And I told her I wouldn't endorse any candidates because I hate them all. They're all liars. They're all in it for their own gain. If we ever had a president that cared about America and actually spoke the truth and told the American people the truth, I'd back him 100%. But there's not one. I'm sorry. And my whole, this is my dream. Come election day, nobody goes to the polls. Not one solitary person show up at the polls on election day. Then what happens? We've got the power to vote, but what if there's nobody worth voting for? Then nobody vote. They'll have to do something. I mean, they can't just go, okay, nobody voted, so Bush stays president. They would have a crisis. They wouldn't know what to do. Congress would spend a year trying to figure out, oh my God, what do we do? Anyway. But it's still, the debates have the same old issues. It's gays in the military. I heard that again. How do you feel about gays in the military? You know something? Who cares? The hell difference is a gay soldier any different than a gay cop or a gay fireman or a gay lawyer or a gay plumber? It's the same. Gay people exist in our society. Get used to it. Eventually when there's so much population that kids are banned and sex is banned because you may have a kid, everybody will turn gay. God. I was watching, I found one person on this station to watch that didn't thoroughly upset me. I watched Political Chowder the other night, or the other day, I guess it was, with Arnie Arneson. What a hot old lady she is, man. She's great. And she used to be like a representative or something. She seems like she knows the political scene pretty well, and she's not afraid to say what's on her mind. She was talking about the Cape Wind project. And if nobody knows what this is, it was a project where they were going to put like 100 wind turbines, electrical generating wind turbines in Nantucket Sound. And it was met with some of the most horrific screaming and yelling that you have ever heard from the residents of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. The rich, top 1% of the country or whatever, that we don't want the wind power here because it will ruin our view of the ocean. Well, when the ocean wipes out their house, their view will be ruined also from the global warming. Because these are the same people that don't want this wind power project down there, that are driving the Hummers and the gas guzzling cars and fly in their own private jets and doing the most polluting is all these rich cats. Here's my idea. Well, actually, I haven't looked into this, but somehow Charlie Bass, our old Congressman Charlie Bass, was instrumental in keeping that project kind of afloat and from not disappearing altogether. Apparently he had some input down there or something, but I want to look more into that because that's the kind of thinking we need. Plant 100 wind turbines off the coast. You know, plant 100 wind turbines on East Hill or West Hill, Chesterfield Hill. You know, put a dozen up there. Start cranking out electricity, free electricity. You know, I mean, those things will pay for themselves in no time. I was going somewhere else and I lost where I was going. The rich people, yeah. Here's my idea. Some of you folks are going to love this. Some of you are going to hate me. I think every single year, if we take the 10 richest people in the world and kill them, and take all their money and spread it out among everybody, that will solve a lot of the world's economic problems. It will solve, eventually, it will break people of their greediness, because eventually people won't want to be the richest person in the world because they'll have to be killed. Anyway, yeah. But that's, you know, just one of my ideas. Not a very good one, but I think it would work. But something needs to be done. All right, we've only got about a minute left. So being addicted to driving as I am, and with the gas prices going up, Andrea found this for me today. Toyota's global hybrid sales top 1 million. It says sales of Toyota hybrids have climbed from just 18,000 in 1998 to 312,500 last year. And I think that's just in the United States. It says, it says the cumulative sales of the hybrid totaled 1.047 million as of the end of May. And of those, nearly 345,000 were sold in Japan and 702,000 were sold abroad. Not to abroad, abroad. But you know, my go gas thing, I can't drive as much as I used to, so I figured when I save on gas, I'm going to spend on alcohol and firearms. 10 already? Where was my 1 minute? I want to thank my sponsors, Mom's Tattoo and Gemini Screen Print. Until next week.